Most young men will be better off staying single for now. Not because they don't deserve to be in a relationship, but because there are signs they have either ignored or are completely unaware of that could ruin their chances of having a healthy relationship. And if you can understand what these signs are trying to tell you and start working on them, you will save yourself and your future partner from a lot of unnecessary problems. So in this video, I'm going to break down 7 signs that indicate you should be single for now, what each one means, and how you can start working on it. Alright, the first sign is you don't want to be a partner, but you want one. Or in simpler terms, you don't want to be a husband, but you want a wife. And trust me, there's a big difference between the two. Most men think about what they want in a relationship. Very few seriously ask themselves what they are bringing into one. Being a good partner is not something you are born with. It's just like any other skill that you can learn. Think about it like this. If you want to drive for the first time, you go to someone that can drive so you can learn from them. You don't just get into the car and figure it out at the expense of the people around you. The same applies here. If you want to be a good partner, you have to actually learn how to be one. And most men skip that entirely. Now, here's how you know which category you fall into. Ask yourself honestly, why do I actually want a relationship right now? If your reasons are mostly about what you will receive, someone to talk to, someone to cook for you, someone to kill the loneliness, someone to satisfy a physical desire, that's not wanting to be a partner, that's wanting a spouse. And those are two completely different things. A relationship is a call to serve, not a call to acquire. When both people walk into the relationship with this question, how can I serve you? By default, both of them grow. Philippians 2 verse 3 to 4 says, do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interest, but each of you to the interests of the others. That posture right there is what a healthy relationship actually requires. And if you haven't developed it yet, this season of singleness is for that. Here's a simple way to check yourself. Ask yourself honestly, am I trying to get something, or am I trying to become someone? Whatever that answer is will tell you where you are. The second sign is you haven't identified your you problems. Now, let me explain what I mean by that. There are two kinds of problems: you problems and we problems. You problems are things that are yours to deal with alone before you bring someone else into the picture. Things like pornography addiction, unhealed wounds from your past, anger and emotional instability, spiritual immaturity, low self-worth. These are things that if you don't deal with them before the relationship, it will affect the relationship at some point in the future. And here's an example of how that could play out. A man who hasn't dealt with a pornography problem gets into a relationship. Now, he genuinely likes this lady, but what he brought in is already working against them. He has unrealistic expectations about what intimacy actually looks like. Over time, he finds it harder to be fully present with her because his brain has been conditioned on something artificial. She starts to feel like there's something wrong with her. He, on the other hand, feels disconnected and doesn't know why. The relationship suffers not because of her, but because of what he never dealt with before he got into that relationship. Now, we problems are different. We problems are things that don't require you to wait before getting into a relationship. These kind of problems, you and your partner can work together to fix them. For example, not getting rich yet. As long as you have the basics covered, you are responsible and you are building towards something, you don't have to wait. Or maybe you don't have everything figured out. Well, nobody does. I personally don't. The problem is most men either ignore their you problems or they delay because of we problems. And if you think fixing the external stuff will get you to where you want to go, young man, I want to be honest with you, it won't. Galatians 6 verse 5 says, for each one should carry their own load. Your you problems are your load. Deal with them before you ask someone to walk with you. Here's how you can check yourself. Look at the reasons you think you are not ready. Are they actually you problems? Things only you can fix? Or are they we problems? Things that you and your partner can fix together. The third sign is you can't distinguish lust from genuine attraction. And this one is more low-key than most men realize. Let me define both. Lust is a strong, intense desire that is purely self-centered. It's about what you want for yourself. It doesn't really care about the other person, just what they can give you physically or emotionally in that moment. Genuine attraction, on the other hand, includes physical attraction. And yes, physical attraction matters. I'm not going to pretend like it doesn't. But it goes way deeper than that. You are curious about who they are. You are drawn to their character, their values, their vision. You think about what you could build together, not just what you could experience together. Here's another way to think about it. You know those ladies you talk to and they're like, I would probably only just want to sleep with them. And you know the other kind of ladies that you would actually want to marry. Those are two different people in your mind. And the question is, which one are you pursuing? There is another difference to note. Are you attracted to that person? Or are you attracted to the idea of being with that person? Because again, those are two completely different things. One is genuine. The other is about image, the status, how it looks from the outside. Job 31 verse 1 says, I made a covenant with my eyes, not to look lustfully at a young woman. Job made a deliberate decision about what he used his eyes to see. That's the kind of self-awareness this sign is calling you to. And here's the long-term reality. Long-term marriages are not sustained by physical attraction. They are sustained by character. Because our body will change over time. And what will end up keeping that marriage together is who she is, not how she looks. Proverbs 31:30 says, charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. And let me make something clear. This is not one of those signs you can just fix. But what you can do is develop the awareness to manage it. Here's how you can check yourself. When you notice you are attracted to someone, ask yourself, am I more interested in what I can get from this person or who they actually are? Whatever your answer is, that's what you use to filter between lust and genuine attraction. If it is lust, my brother, run away. But if it's genuine attraction, you can move forward with clarity. The fourth sign is you don't know the difference between your preferences and your non-negotiables. Let me define both. A preference is something you would like but you can live without. It's flexible. If it's missing, it can be disappointing, but it's not a deal breaker. A non-negotiable, on the other hand, is something tied to your core values, something you won't compromise on. If it's missing, the relationship cannot work long term. For me, fear of God is a non-negotiable. A Christ-like character is a non-negotiable. A shared vision for marriage is a non-negotiable. Height is a preference. Specific hobbies are preferences. The problem is most men have never sat down and seriously figured out which is which. So they end up making one of two mistakes. They treat preferences like non-negotiables and eliminate people who actually have what matters because they're missing something that doesn't. Or they treat non-negotiables like preferences and stay with someone who doesn't share their core values because everything on the surface feels good. And here's the honest truth. Nobody is perfect. Everyone has something you won't love. The question is not, does she have everything I want? The question is, are the things I'm not willing to compromise on actually there? Think of it like a business decision. If you build something worth like 100 million, you won't just let anyone manage it. You will be very careful with the process of picking someone. Your life and your calling in this case are the assets. Be very careful with who you invite into them. Amos 3 verse 3 says, do two work together unless they have agreed to do so. Two people going in completely different directions cannot build something together. And one more thing, your non-negotiable should not be a list of like 25 things. That's not clarity, that's fear. True non-negotiables should be few, clear, and value-based. Everything else is negotiable. Here's how you can check yourself. Write down what you are looking for in a partner. Then for each thing, ask yourself, would this relationship be unsustainable without it? Or would it just be less ideal? Whatever that answer is, we will tell you which category it belongs in. The fifth sign is you have no sense of direction. And by that, I don't mean you need to have your whole future mapped out. I mean you should have a sense of where you are going. Because that direction informs the kind of partner you will need. Think about it like a business. If you don't know what your business needs, would you just go out there and hire anybody you see? Of course not. When you know the direction, you can say, I need someone with this heart, this capacity, this vision. A wife to a pastor is different from a wife to a businessman. One calling requires a heart of giving and serving souls. The other requires a mind for building and growth. Those are two different callings, and they attract and require different partners. If you don't know your direction yet, you can't know what kind of partner fits your mission. And here's how I like to think about it. You're not just looking for a partner. You are looking for an investor in your vision. Someone who sees where you are going and wants to come on that journey with you. But if you have no direction, what exactly are you inviting someone into? In the Bible, before Adam was given a partner, he already had work, something he was doing, something he was building. The partner came alongside the work, not before it. Proverbs 29 verse 18 says, "Where there is no vision, the people perish." Research also shows that men with a clear sense of purpose are perceived as more attractive partners, not because of what they have, but because of where they are going. Here's how you can check yourself. If someone asked you right now, "Where is your life going and what are you building?" Could you give them an honest answer? Not a perfect answer, an honest one. If you can't, that's your sign. You don't need to have everything figured out, but you need to be actively pursuing clarity. Pray, reflect, work, try things, fail, learn. The direction becomes clearer through the doing, not just the thinking. The sixth sign is you have a twisted view of relationships, women, and marriage. And most men don't even know this one applies to them because the twisting happens slowly at such a young age that they don't even remember where they got it from. Here's what I mean. Most of what you believe about relationships didn't come from wisdom. It came from movies, social media, what you watched growing up, the environment you were raised in, and a lot of it isn't true. Movies show you relationships that resolve perfectly in 90 minutes. Conflict is always romantic. Love happens at first sight. Nobody shows the boring, ordinary days that make up most of a real relationship. Social media shows you highlight reels. Couples post their best moments. They are comparing your ordinary days to their extraordinary ones and never seeing what happens behind the scenes. There is a concept called cultivation theory. The more you consume media that consistently portrays relationships a certain way, the more you internalize it as reality. And it happens slowly, and most men never stop to question it. So here's the honest exercise. Think of one thing you believe about relationships or women. Now, ask yourself, where did that belief actually come from? A movie, social media, something you heard growing up. If you can't trace it back to wisdom or lived truth, that belief needs to be checked. Romans 12:12 says, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." This sign is about evaluating your views before you bring it into a relationship. Here's how you can start working on this one. Study real relationships. Talk to people in healthy long-term marriages. Ask them what it actually took for them to sustain their marriage for that long. Be intentional about what you consume and question your assumptions. Just because you've always believed something about relationships doesn't mean it's true. The seventh and final sign is you are not comfortable being alone with yourself. And this one is more common than most men would like to admit. Here's what it looks like. The moment you have nothing to do, you reach for your phone, you open social media, you look for something to fill that silence. Because sitting with yourself, with no distraction, no stimulation, nothing, genuinely unsettles you. And if that's true, you need to ask yourself why. Because whatever you are running from in the silence, you will carry into the relationship. And she can't fix it. A man who can't be alone with himself will look to his partner to fill that emptiness. He will need constant reassurance. He will get anxious when she doesn't respond quickly. He will struggle to give her space because he needs her presence to feel okay. That's not a relationship. That's dependency. Another important thing is learn how to be comfortable with boredom. Don't immediately reach for your phone. Sit with the discomfort. Because what comes up in that silence is exactly what you need to deal with before you bring someone else into your life. Matthew 14:23 describes how Jesus went up on a mountainside by himself to pray, which shows that Jesus regularly withdrew alone. Intentional solitude was part of his practice. There are some things developed in stillness and solitude that cannot be developed any other way. Here's how you can check yourself. When was the last time you sat alone with no phone, no music, no distraction, and were you genuinely okay? If you can't remember, that's your sign. And here's how you can start working on it. Start small. Put the phone down for 30 minutes and just be. Journal. Give your thoughts somewhere to go instead of running from them. Pray. Solitude with God is the most productive form of being alone. And build a life you are genuinely interested in. Because purpose makes solitude feel productive, not empty. Now, as a single guy, if you don't have boundaries for yourself in place, I encourage you to check out this video. Remember, the The path is yours to walk. And as always, I'm in your corner, rooting for you.